Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering the beautiful Netflix anime Forest of Piano.
This visual music series follows Kai Ichinose, a boy who lives in the red light district but escapes at night to play the piano in the forest. And while he can't read sheet music, he seems to be the only one capable of playing the forest piano. And his brilliance is every song he hears once, he can play back perfectly.
And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates on future podcasts and multiple pause videos.
And beautiful is definitely the perfect way of describing this anime. It's got elements of slice of life, some realism,
slight comedy.
But as you said, it's absolutely beautiful. Not only visually, where you see these elements where each person who plays goes into their head and sees himself in different places, but the music also, they end up having it appear in ways that make it temporal. You have the light or butterflies or different things that denote this is sound and the people are experiencing the sound. And then of course you have the audio beauty of it. The playing is absolutely beautiful. The pianist they have playing the different pieces is just it takes you elsewhere when they're playing. It puts you in these wonderful, beautiful moods, and you're really enjoying the experience of hearing the music and seeing the reactions of the audience that are listening during the competitions.
Right. And at first we thought the whole show kind of took place when Kai is a child. They actually doesn't, because when you look at the trailers and stuff, that's what they show. But we watch the intro and then get to like thumbnails into later episodes and then the second season. It only starts off like that. Like you see who he is. But he has this gift of playing the instrument. When the piano in the forest can only be played by him and no one else. When anyone else plays it, there is no sound. When he plays it, there's music.
And everyone else can hear the music as well.
Right. And so when it gets further on and he becomes better and better skilled, you see him grow up. So the only thing it kind of will be a little confused as is for that. But other than that, the story is very straightforward. It's just about him becoming this world-renowned pianist.
And he's voiced as a young child by Ryoko Shirayashi. But as a teen and into adulthood, he's voiced by Jenny Young Bosch, who you may know from the Bleach anime series and other voice acting he's done, but that's his most famous role.
Right.
And Kai is such a lovable character from the very moment you first meet him on screen. You just adore him the first time you meet him. He's this free spirit and he's just happy, and he's like a musical Soma from Food Wars. No matter what happens, he keeps this positive outlook. His attitude stays upbeat, and even when people think they're insulting him, it just flies over his head. And if it doesn't fly over his head, he just has found this way of rising above it and still staying this beautiful character.
Right. And then you had other characters like Amamiya. You had the
Amamiya, who becomes his friend. His friend turns competitor rival, who says he's his enemy, and then ends up really turning out to be his friend. And the relationship between them, you're not sure if it's a platonic relationship or if it's romantic.
Yeah,
and it's never clarified, but that's what you get when you're watching it.
Yeah, and I think in a way, like Tiger and Bunny, they're leaving it up to the audience to decide. It's kind of open-ended, which is fine because we kind of assume there will be people shipping them anyway. You have
Sasuke Ajino, who is the musical genius, that has retired because his hand got injured,
in a car accident,
and then Kai ends up in a school where he teaches at, and as you mentioned, he tells him he plays the piano in the forest, and he says that's impossible. That piano doesn't make any sound, and then he finds out he's not lying. He really does play it, and then he realizes that you play a tune once, you play a piece of music once, anything once, and you can see him moving his little fingers and his head going, he's so happy, and then he perfectly imitates exactly what he's heard.
Right.
And then he decides that he wants to be his teacher. And
that's pretty much where the story goes on to him becoming this world-renowned pianist, because you kind of see it in the end credits and the intro each time, so you kind of know where the story is going with that. And as the series goes on, like I said, there's a time jump when he's an adult, and they actually have, before then, he's in this contest as a child, and this is when they started putting a little more of the rural things into the show.
Before you get to that, I just want to mention that it was unusual, actually unheard of, for Ichinose to actually take a personal student under his wing. And so Amamiya, his dad was an accomplished pianist as well, who was friends with Ichinose. So his dad and his mom and he automatically thought that Ichinose would choose him to be his teacher, but he chose Kai instead, and that's what started bringing up problems between them, because he's like, oh, that's great, he pretends he's happy, but he's not, because he envies that he chose him, and what makes him so special that you chose him and not me. And then it starts affecting their relationship as well as how he even plays. And for a while they end up separating. But go ahead and explain what you were saying about the progression of Kai.
Right. As even though he's really this gifted player, they keep saying, there's always something more he can learn. And that's a really good message they always teach throughout the whole show. Like, yes, he can do this. He's naturally gifted at that. This is great. He's got to come up with his own style. He's got to learn how to play different tempos and different speeds and adding extra notes and so forth, which is great. So it's not just saying like he's the most perfect player in the world.
Or just
he can
copying
always
what he's heard.
right. So he's always improving each and every time you hear him play. And when they had the first competition, they had like 2 or 3 competitions throughout the whole series. The first one had him, as a child, and this is where you start to see a little bit of when they have like these tropes of sabotage and stuff in competitions. But it's not by the people who are competing with Kai, it's by the people running, the judges. They really are changing who they want to succeed in these competitions. When they had it the first time, they didn't want Kai going in, they found an excuse not to let him pass or have a high score.
Because they said the level his playing was so brilliant that all the other children would have to come up to his standards, and they can't do it, so you can't let him win, and you're just sitting there with your mouth open like, what?
What kind of
And then even the other children who are competing, like, he should have won. He won that. He won that. What do you mean he lost?
Right.
And they're even stunned because they, children are honest, and they knew that he'd won and that he was robbed, basically.
Yeah.
And so he still wins in the end because Ichinose teaches him personally. And then there's a time gap after so many episodes, and you see that he's older and his hair is longer, but he's still got that wonderful personality of his. He's still this beautiful person, and Ichinose has taught him to find how to make the music his personally, and his playing has just leaped into the stratosphere as far as his beauty and transcending what others do. Still, he's gotten even better. And as you mentioned, then he enters an international competition, and he competes with people from around the world.
Right.
And that's in the American.
Well, I gotta get to that. Yes, okay. We're gonna get to that. We gotta get to that. Okay. Now, first, let's explain that when we get to this competition, it's in like season 2. The entire thing is sort of that, and you're seeing the backstories of all these other contestants. And they all got their little issues. A lot of them got big issues. So they start bringing in these sort of things of real world matters and outlooks on the characters. And then, as Mama is about to bring up, they kind of, it's obvious they leave out Americans playing the piano, they leave out all the contestants, but then they add 2. And what was wrong with it? Okay, now tell them what they did for the only 2 Americans they had in the entire show.
Well, first, you never get to hear them play. And second, they never have a chance. Because as soon as you see the American's name, you see your giant X being put across the name. Like, what the heck? He didn't even have a chance. They're like,
dude, like, okay, he's out. Like, dang, he played 2 notes. They already knew, like, okay, he's out.
And they made sure you knew he was the American. It was almost like it was a tongue-in-cheek humor, like, okay, you don't have a chance. We know this show is airing in America.
Right? And they did it 3 times.
Right.
First time, you saw they only told you the person was playing was American, and as you said, the next thing you know, they're crossing his name out. Second time is when they had the listings for, like, the top 10 that made it to the finals. Right. The American was at the very bottom of the list.
Yes.
The Japanese guy was at the top of the list. Then the third time was when they had one as an actual character with lines, and he was a loud-mouthed, pretty dim guy that kind of was just spitting out random things and just being loud and annoying. So the 3 Americans you have in here all seem like lower class. That was just like what is this? What is this?
Yeah, they tried to make it seem like the Americans didn't belong there. But I think it was done in fun, because the way it's done, when you see it, you have to laugh because it's so unrealistic that it happened.
Right.
So that's what makes it funny, even though it didn't happen. You're like, why are you doing the Americans like that?
Right. It's, how dare you?
My favorite thing, again, about seeing this anime without giving away so much stuff, and then there's so much we can't give away because you have to see it and you have to hear it. And again, you'll be transported, and it's such a beautiful anime. Visually, again, and audio visually, that's the best way to put it. And again, Kai is such a lovable character. He's a very memorable character. Johnny Young Bosch does a fantastic job of making you absolutely love this character, and you were rooting for him. You want him to win. You actually feel for him as he grows. You're I don't say empathizing, it's just you're excited. It's like you know him and you're excited. And I think that's the thing for this particular anime that has made it different from any anime I've seen. And again, this is just for me personally. Again, you love him right off the bat, and you feel a kinship with him. Even if you can't play a lick of music, or if you can play instruments, you feel a kinship and you want him to succeed, especially the more you learn about his backstory. And that part there is a really powerful part of this anime. We don't want to give any of it away.
Right.
But learning about his mom and learning about what he's endured, and how, again, with that Kai personality, he has risen above everything everyone's done to try to keep him down. And you just love him, and you just want him to excel and be the best, and you're just sitting there cheering for him, and you know it's not a real show, but you feel that it's real. And the music's so beautifully played, and the competition is so accurate as to what really happens when you go to these competitions. You feel like you're experiencing everything that's going on. You feel like you're a part of the audience, and you're seeing and hearing these competitors, and you're experiencing everything they are. And that right there is brilliance. It's been brilliantly written for you to feel you are a part of the anime.
Right.
And we have to mention that this brilliant work of anime was written by Makoto Ishiki. And
we actually didn't know it was a manga first.
It was manga, and it was illustrated, and she's female, and she did a beautiful job of bringing you into the anime and the experience. And I would love to read the manga, because if the anime is this great, I can imagine how wonderful reading the manga is. And it looks like the animation, the drawing, or the animation for the manga is very different from the beauty of the anime. But I think it's more free-spirited drawing, like Kai's personality is.
Right. And as you said, it's the great thing about the show. And when you hear each person, you kind of hear just about a full performance when they're performing these different pieces of public domain songs. And you kind of see the reaction of the judges, the main characters, the audience, and how the whole feeling of the room changes and how it affects them, because each contestant performs differently, has a different feeling when they play. Some play like it's fire, some play like they're in a forest, some play like you're in an underwater performance, and it's always different each time. So it showed that not everyone was playing the same. They were playing the same song, but they all had the different way of playing it.
And we just have to mention that Christina V also makes a voice acting appearance in this anime as well. So if you have Netflix and you have not seen Force the Piano, add it to your watch list. It's 12 episodes
of each season.
Right,
yeah.
2 seasons, 12 episodes each. And it's wonderful to watch in the evening. It's very calming and very soothing. So make sure you've gotten all your action, anime, or shows or movies done. And then just relax to this, because it's very soothing, very relaxing, and it's great to actually watch before you decide to go to bed. No kidding. It's that wonderful.
It's like when you put on the meditation music and stuff before sleep, or those calming ocean things. It's very relaxing
and beautiful to look at, and you're absolutely gonna love it. And if you have seen it, let us know if you saw when it originally aired, or like we did most recently, in the comments below.
Right. And be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates on future podcasts and more to pause videos.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for watching. I'm Ice Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? My man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. With her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a locket. People in the back, for the people in the front. For the people on the side, for the people on the front. For the people in the middle or the alley, wanna bump and everybody.